Alright, due to popular demand, I'm back at 3:49 a.m. in order to film you all another video to help you all with math. Exciting, right? Today we're going to go over simplifying radicals, or these two, out of Pythagorean theorem level 0. So let's get started. A lot of y'all already finished this, but this is an important concept that is important for a lot of these other ones, so let's take a look. So, notice on the right side I have this list of numbers, okay? These are called square numbers. See this little 2? That means you multiply that number by itself, or you multiply two of those numbers. So this is 2 times 2, that's 3 times 3, that's 4 times 4, that's 5 times 5, and so on, okay? To solve this, reducing the radical problem, we're going to need to divide 252 by one of these numbers, okay? Now there's two ways of doing that, okay? The first is we need to split 252. First is called the brute force method, okay? You just start with 252 and you start dividing away. So let me guess. Here's a hint. A good way to go about it is just guessing as many as possible. So let me try 64. Not quite. It has to divide evenly with no remainders or decimals, okay? Let me try 36. And it works, okay? So within these boxes I put 36 because that's what I divided by, and 7, which is my answer when I divide them, okay? Notice on this chart right here, 36 turns into 6, so I put 6 here, and 7 still goes under it because this symbol right here, let me trace it out. This symbol right here is called the square root. It undoes what happens here, okay? So if this equals 36, this goes backwards, okay? This changes it into 6. Okay? That leaves us with here, we get 6, and underneath goes 7, okay? Now, before we move on, I chose the largest number possible, okay? Let's see what happens if I didn't choose the largest number possible. For example, I could have divided it by 9, 252 divided by 9, and would have given me 28, okay? And 9, as we see here, it becomes 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. But the thing is that we can still split the 28 even more. For example, we can divide it by 4 and 7, and 4 is one of the numbers here, so it works. That 4 becomes a 2 here. 7 still stays the same. And finally, we have to multiply the 3 and 2 to get 6, okay? So it's 6 radical. This is called a square root, or we can say 6 root 7 or 6 radical 7. And then it will get you the same answer, but you have to do it 2 times with more steps, okay? That's why I say find the biggest one possible to divide by. Oftentimes it's hard to know if you have the biggest one possible. So let me show you one more way of doing this. Okay. The last way of doing this is to factor it completely. So this is what we need to do. We start with 252. We split it up into, let's divide by 2. Then we get 126. Split this up again, 2 and 63. Split this up again, I get 9 and 7. Split this up again, I get 3 and 3. Okay? Every number that, so I have 2, or let me circle the ones I have then. I have a 2 here, 2 here, a 3 here, a 3 here, and a 7, okay? So we can say that 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7 equals 252. Okay? Since this 2 And the 3 repeats twice each. We can pair them up. So let's pair this one with this one. And this one with this one. Each of them becomes 6, so it says 6 times 6 times 7 equals 252, which means that if we square rooted this, let's put this under the square root, we can take out this 6 because it repeats twice. That's how we get our 36 and 7, because 6 times 6 is 36. And that's how we finally get 6 and 7, okay? Let's do one more. And this shows us the fastest path and the slowest path. So I'm going to choose one to divide by. Here's one hint, okay? If it is a perfect square, you are done. If it is not a perfect square, the biggest number you can divide by is half of your number. So the biggest number I can divide 32 by, given my note here, it will be 32 divided by 2. And it's 16, right? So that actually means 16 will be the one we can do. And 16 here gives us 4, so we can put 4 and 2. Okay? How about we try one more, okay? So this is not a perfect square on this list, so the biggest one we can divide by is, let's try 243 divided by 2. It doesn't work, so it has to be less than 121 though. How about we try dividing it by 3? So we get 81 and 3, okay? Because 81 is on this list. That gives us 9 and 3. Finally, 96. So it is not on this list, so the biggest one possible is 48. But we can also try dividing by 3. That's not on this list. We can divide by 4. 5, no, 6. And 6 gives us our answer. So 6 and 16. 4 and 6. Okay? So the next section is very similar, except this time we don't have to go through the middle step. We go straight to the end. So we already did this one, but let me do it again. So I divide by 2. I get 16, right? So the intermediate step would just be similar to before, where we had 16 times 2, like that. And then this 16 becomes a 4, we're at 2. So if here I put 4, we're at 2. And that's my final answer, okay? Here, we encounter some that are perfect squares. As you can see, this is 16 right here, so our answer is just 4. All right, 150. Let's try dividing by 2. Nope. 3, 4, 5, 6. Finally, 25 is on this list, so we can do 25 becomes a 5. And since I divide by 6, I put rat 6. Okay. So the biggest one we could have divided by was actually 25. And actually, you can guess one of those numbers. We can also just go down the list until one of these becomes one of those numbers, okay? But to do this one, you have to know these numbers well and compare it, okay? So that's it for simplifying radicals, okay? Like and subscribe.